Well, it's I would say I guess it always is evolving, but it's evolving very, very slowly and limited steps, and like not as fast as it is in other places for sure. I mean, some of the things are cool in that there's I would say more mainstream acceptance for certain things, and and you have the Riksbank of Sweden attending Bitcoin events, and and different government agencies doing experiments with putting whatever on the blockchain. Yeah, so those are things that a couple of years ago would have been considered somewhat unthinkable, but on one end. But on the other end, it's still a handful of companies. They're still, most of them are struggling. KNC is gone, and it's still the people's main problems are with getting bank accounts. The more things change, the more things stay the same. It's still like no one has really nailed in Sweden a consumer use case for Bitcoin other than holding it as a speculative investment, which is a pretty good use case, but nonetheless, like, it's the same as it was 2 years ago. It's not like there's something new evolving around that. So I would have wished that things moved faster, but I'm sort of also starting to appreciate, just with my own company as well, like how some things take time, and this is one of those things which it's moving along slowly from a very, very low baseline. Well, I would say us, but I guess that's not a fair, not the answer that you want. And that I would say, I think that the guys at BitTX are doing. They're doing good. They're doing, they've managed to, in their own way, which is, I think, pretty eccentric, but they've managed to, build a following. They have users. They have volumes. I'm sure that they're surviving or even a little bit profitable as a company. Just mainly doing what they do, which is sell bitcoins to people. And then doing a lot of interesting side projects on the side. Well, and then of course the exchange traded note XBT tracker. Yeah, it was a big accomplishment for the Swedish Bitcoin scene that happened. Especially if you keep track of everything that went down in the US with the ETF and so on. And to think that we have basically that in Sweden for over a year now, and it just works. My mother has some of those in her portfolio, and that's something that I think Sweden should take pride in. It's still a certain niche, and it could be more inviting to newcomers and to people who are different. Yeah, it's still like an eccentric, somewhat nerdy group of people, us included, that are gathering, and it's. I would have liked it to be like much more diverse, but on the other hand, we've learned in this field that all the attempts at being welcoming and diverse and diverse just leads to people being led into very strange paths and scams and things like that. So it's a tough one. I think we need to communicate more clearly the value proposition that exists for entrepreneurs to explore what is happening. I think also that the technical aspects are important, and so you can't really. I think that's one of the failures of the 2014 booms was that there were people that were running into it that didn't understand the tech, and they were just like, let's do whatever, and there was still this empty hype and so on. So I think that we shouldn't hide the technical side of things. I guess we should just you know, show people the opportunity that exists, and I think the best way is, you know, by having successful cases, you know, and once we're a $1 billion company, then you know, then that will be a successful case. Yeah, until then, it's tough. Like it's tough, and the whole industry is sort of still figuring out what is it good for? What is it that we're doing here? Is it even like? Is it, you know, people? We also need to ask ourselves, like, is it even an industry? You know, like, because one of the things that one property of decentralization is well, decentralization, right? And it's decentralization is hard to combine with starting companies by definition, because a startup or a company is a central point, you know, for something, and so like, it's still not entirely clear whether or not, you know, like there's other like technologies that are similar, I guess, like wiki technology, for example, or Tor, or things like that, that are also like, I don't see any wiki startups out there. You know, there's Wikipedia, which is massively useful for everyone. There's Tor, which is massively useful for everyone. But it's not necessarily so that there needs to be, that there absolutely has to be startups. I think there will be, though. Like I think that there are use cases, especially around just very simple, you know, sending money from point A to point B, and that type of stuff. I think that we need to do a better job involving immigrants, because the truth is that Bitcoin's use case is the strongest in countries where their local economy, currency, and financial system is the weakest. And so Sweden is not in that category, which is a good thing, right? But I think that people that come from countries like that, and that deal with countries like that, and have people in countries like that, you know, and the remittance use case and things like that, I think that that's, for example, something where we could do, you know, could have a big improvement.